week on Barbell Shrugged, we travel north to Gothenburg,
home of a Viking fitness festival and some classic Scandinavian culinary delights.
Whoa, what is that?
Also, we take part in the ice-cold Swedish holiday experience that's sure to get your heart racing. It's Christmas time in Sweden. There's no one we'd rather share the experience with more than our friend and favorite badass, Christmas Abbott. We had an amazing time together in Halmstad, learning how the world's finest barbells are made. Now, our Scandinavian journey continues north, about an hour and a half to Gothenburg, Sweden's westernmost city. This town is known for its inventive spirit, bustling squares, and endless shops nestled within tightly clustered cobbled streets. Also, there's always time for seafood, silly hats, and polar plunges. We're in town to check out the Swedish Fitness Festival, one of Europe's largest gatherings for strength and conditioning professionals and enthusiasts. We teach, we train, and we take time to soak up the local Christmas culture, which, incidentally, includes quite a bit of hot chocolate, tiny powdered donuts, and bumper car shenanigans. You've been good all year, baby. It's time you had your treat. Get ready for Barbell Shrugged, Christmas style.
You can tell by the way I use my walk, I'm a woman's man. No time to talk. Eating herring all damn day, strolling around till I do something else.
Gothenburg hosts many holiday events, but the Christmas market at the Liseberg amusement park is by far the largest. The park itself is lit by some 5 million lights. Carefully sprayed spruce trees line every walkway and shop entrance. And the best part of all, who could resist the offer of fresh hot chocolate and tiny Swedish donuts?
We're gonna get a donut too.
Get a donut? Yeah. No.
What is it?
Ginger cookie?
Here goes the donuts.
Oh, they're gonna fall. They're gonna fall. Oh, they're gonna fall.
A pair of hop-along
This is a break when we're having fun. Say you must be high when we're spreading love. But we're just living life and we never stop. We got the world. We got the
Crown, you want a crown? You want a crown, girl?
Welcome to Barbell Shrugged. I'm Mike Bledsoe. I'm here with Doug Larson, Chris Moore, and Christmas Abbott.
What's up?
Merry Christmas. So last year we brought Christmas Abbott on the show and for Christmas, and we said we have to do this again.
How long? Was that only a year ago?
It was
Not
a year ago.
even.
Yeah.
And
Not even a year ago.
it was a year ago, and we said we have to do it again next year, but we got to take it to the next level. How are we going to do that? And we
What is next level beyond Chris being in Christmas's bed?
And under me, and Chris being under my tree.
Yeah,
Shirtless.
that's right.
Shirtless and
Looking
relaxed.
sexy under that tree.
With a
What
candy
episode was
cane.
that? 90 something?
what's a better gift?
96, I think. That's right.
What's a better
remember?
gift?
CTP
Yeah,
was
Yeah,
it
saying,
was 96.
96.
CTP
So
said, I
we're
can't
like-
believe I'm in Christmas's
we're like,
bed. I
we
said, I can't
should-
believe I'm shirtless in Christmas's living room. This is embarrassing.
we should all go to Sweden. Is what we thought. So we
Well,
did.
the moment
Just makes
came.
sense.
The moment
It
came
makes
to you
sense.
in like we were. Is it June or July? July. We were in California. He's like, we're out screwing around. Like, you know what? We great. What if we got Christmas to come to Sweden with us, or something elaborate? We go, oh man, that can never happen. And now look where we are. It became true.
I don't know why you doubted that.
All you gotta do is ask.
Yeah, he was like, "Do you want to go to Sweden?" Yes.
We did it. Together, we triumphed.
Well, part of the deal.
was
part
so
of the
hard.
deal was we wanted to come to Sweden to hang out with Aleko as well, which we worked that one out too, and that was a lot of fun. So we kind of wrapped it all up into 1 week, which was a huge blast.
It's been intense.
killer week.
But this is a life-changing trip, I'd say.
So Christmas, can you tell us about the last year? What's happened in the last year? Because I know you've gone.
Every
through a lot
year
of
it's like a
changes.
whirlwind. Every year gets better and better, and it's so exciting and terrifying at the same time. You don't want the next year to be not as good as this year, but this year is definitely
That
proven.
would be terrifying.
That would
You
suck.
woke up and you go, "What happened this year?"
Yeah, we might be off fatigue. But we don't want to slow down. Like
Yeah.
slowing down is not what we want at this point.
You got to keep the momentum
Mm-hmm.
going. So this year has definitely been about momentum. I think really it's been about building blocks. Just strengthening the foundation of the things that I'm working on. Couple big things. One, I got engaged.
Congratulations.
He locked it
Very
up.
cool.
Josh, you did good, man.
I was wondering when that was gonna happen, and then one day I saw it pop up on. The
Dude,
old-
everybody kept asking us. I was
the
like, get
old
out of my
Instagram.
face.
Yeah.
They're like, so when are you getting engaged? I'm like, not really my choice. Like,
Well, I'm not gonna ask.
yeah, duh. So that's been exciting. No wedding plans, no wedding date. We're just gonna coast for a while and enjoy it. In case anybody
thought we
started
decided-
asking questions.
Well, yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
We're-
I don't want a traditional wedding.
We were gonna do it.
It
on
gives
top
me
of a mountain.
anxiety.
Aren't you gonna have a bearded maniac maybe deliver the vows?
Yeah,
for you?
we're discussing some options of
Some
coming back and
Viking-looking son of a
touring
bitch.
Europe and having somebody.
Wink, wink.
We're thinking on top of a mountain in Europe, so it's
Yeah.
gotten that far.
It is,
Yeah.
but it's like not traditional wedding. We just want to do our own thing and not worry about all that stress. Anyway, most people don't really care about that stuff.
Especially the guy's like, don't tell me about Christmas getting married.
So
Yeah, they're like,
every
"Shut
dude
up."
just turned their TV off.
This
Like,
show
this is the
sucks.
worst show ever.
It's over.
Other big
Later on in the
things-
show, see Christmas in a bikini.
Stay tuned. True story.
True story.
True story.
Mm-hmm.
Other big things. My nutrition seminar has been doing really, really well, which is the backbone to the nutrition book that should come out in the spring if I deliver on time.
You will.
Books are a lot. You take everybody's questions
Who
and you make
delivers
sure
books on time?
nobody.
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 You gotta get extensions on that.
Yeah. But one of the big 5 publishing companies, HarperCollins, picked it up, and that
Oh,
was a
sweet.
huge like what?
Yeah, congratulations.
Was that like a surreal
Yeah,
moment?
that's
Like,
awesome.
wow, because you never thought you'd be Christmas Abbott author.
No,
Right?
well,
I mean-
no, not at all. It's kind of crazy because I was doing the nutrition seminars before the book came about, and that's really how the book came about. And I put together the proposal, went to New York, had 2 days of meetings with publishing companies. In those 2 days, we had 13 meetings,
That sounds legit.
and 4 of the top 5 were like combating for this book. And I'm like, this just got real.
You were telling me about that.
Yeah.
We were gonna be in New York City at the same time. I was like, we should hook up. And you were like, well, I've got 13 meetings. And I was like, I will see you next time.
You're like, Jesus, that sounds terrible.
I mean,
I
we
don't
basically
know
could have
what-
hung out all year long if it wasn't for you being so busy and me being so busy. We've been in the same place
Oh, yeah,
consistently.
we've been in the same place plenty of times, but never saw each other. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really, really humbling and exciting to know that people were that interested in what little old me had to say about nutrition. And I put it out there. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. This has been just built on my experience and trial and error and what's worked for me and what I've seen work for my athletes. And I could get into it and like really start preaching, but I get really, really excited about it when I talk about it.
I think maybe Doug probably knows more about this, but you could probably call yourself a nutritionist. I don't think there's any in the United States. I don't think there's any like
What are the rules, Doug?
you can't. I think
In
you
Europe,
have
they
to have,
wouldn't
like,
allow it, but what do we get away with in the United States?
a degree is like you'd be a dietitian, but pretty much if you give nutrition advice, you could call yourself a nutritionist. Is that right?
I'm actually not 100% sure about calling yourself a nutritionist. Like a clinical nutritionist, you would have to have
Well, that would be different.
something. I'm not sure
Some
what.
kind
but-
of formal.
Your nutrition advisor?
But being a sports nutritionist wouldn't be a hard thing. All you gotta do is get some type of a weekend certification, then you can call yourself a sports nutritionist. If I'm not totally off base there.
I feel like that's
But
how we
I-
build
I
all
think-
of
I think-
our
I think you could-
education.
Maybe I shouldn't have brought this up. Now we're
I
just
don't
gonna
know.
get slammed by the internet.
Or
You
what you
idiots,
do,
it takes 4
Just
years.
make up your
I'm
own
like,
job
shit, I don't
title.
know.
Christmas
Well, I
Abbott.
don't know. Actually, I
Nutritional
would love for
optimizer.
someone to tweet at us and tell us like what is required to
Or
be
you
called a
could-
nutritionist.
If
Like,
you could break it all down. If someone could
yeah,
tell us,
give us the
break it all down.
guidelines.
Yeah.
That way we don't have to research it.
Yeah. We're curious fans.
Research-
We're relying on you for our
That's right.
information.
We're crowdsourcing.
We just did our part. Now you can pick up the rest.
But Christmas, I would
Appreciate
say,
it. Yeah.
people get confused sometimes. They figure you're just born into a tattooed, shredded body, and that you haven't had to work for anything. I think you've accumulated so many lessons, and you've worked really hard for what you've got. And people don't realize what it's actually taken for you to be as lean and fit and experienced in training as you are, and as good at lifting as you are. It's not like you just woke up and you were given this. You had to earn this. You were, for lack of a better term, quite normal, for many years, and you worked hard over the last
I don't know if she was
18
ever
to
normal.
now.
Definitely not normal.
Not normal, but
she was like so far this other side of the spectrum at one point that would be the
Yeah.
you went from like abnormal over here to abnormal over
Yeah,
here. It wasn't
yeah, that was.
normal.
You weren't
And I
you
tried
were
to
never
play in the
average, I don't
normal
think.
realm
Yeah.
for about a year, and I was like, "This is weird.
Yeah.
Normal is weird." But thank you. Yeah, it's been an incredible journey in my life. As I look back on it quite frequently, just to kind of remember where I came from and keep things in my appreciation and gratitude for life in check. And yeah, I was quote unquote normal, but really I was just a heavy smoker from early ages and drinking and drugs, and I just really did whatever I could put my face in.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it was.
I only put my face in anything I want when I'm in Vegas. But the rest of the time, keep my face pretty clean.
So you try.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it was a very slow process, and I've been on this journey for. I started working out and fitness really in 2004, 2005. And it's been going on since then. So it wasn't like I woke up and decided I was going to be a fitness superstar one day.
So it's taken you about 10 years of just really hitting it hard.
Yeah.
Which is a classic.
At what point?
That's a general marker. It shakes out about, if you had to break it down to an average.
10,000 hours.
Everybody in the crowd who wants what they want right fucking now. This is the rule. It could take a little longer. It could take a little less. But
Yeah.
even Christmas had to put in 10 years.
And
of
I tell
grinding.
people, if you had started on that normal, that ground zero as I call it, and then started doing what I was doing, you would have exceeded my timeline very quickly. I had to rebuild to ground zero because I had already done so much damage to my body and my psychological being before I got to ground zero, where I started to be able to run a mile without stopping within 10 minutes.
I want to note too, you were
That sounds
like a
pretty
big
good to me,
fat
though.
chick. You were just too skinny.
It was funny because I'd walk in and I'd be wearing shorts and a tank top or something like that, and you could just see what was going on in their brain, and they were like, "That girl needs to eat." Like I looked like I had an eating disorder, because you could see every bone in my chest. I just was really, really almost malnutritioned.
Did you think that you were too skinny at the time?
I knew I was,
Oh, okay.
which is funny because I was actively trying to gain weight, but I didn't know how to.
Did you do that with mostly Twinkies?
I think that just, during that time, I didn't realize that you had to stop drinking and eating and start eating food.
Right.
So-
I've heard
Booze has calories,
I've heard
right?
some ladies.
And it's
I've-
fun.
Big and strong
I've heard
drinking
some
beer.
ladies
Yeah.
that will remain nameless go, why does she get to party all the time and stay so lean? I was like, well, the only calories she's consuming is alcohol. So it's like,
yeah,
yeah.
it's not great calories. So
Just
it was,
alcohol and some powders here and there.
which also are not food.
There's no calories in that powder.
Doesn't matter how much you want to eat it.
I did hear that was a good fat burner, though. You wrote an article for us that we posted on our on barbellshrugged.com. What
For the
Barbell,
daily.
Barbell Daily.
the daily about 3 weeks ago, 2, 3,
No, it's
4
been.
weeks ago.
When was that, Christmas?
It was
It's been
about a month ago.
about a month or so ago. Yeah.
But
And it kind of leverages off these lessons, I think, beautifully.
this is what's funny about the daily. Actually, is it's probably been 2 or 3 years since I stopped reading articles too much on the internet. It's like, man, I've just it's hard for me to find like really good content. I'm just like, okay, I've read this about this before. I've read about this before. Not a lot of new information. This isn't that interesting. And so I just kind of stopped reading a lot of stuff. And Chris launched the daily for us about mid-October, and I was like, oh, that's cool. That's gonna be really neat. And then like a week after it posted, I find myself reading articles on our own website because we have all these guest authors, but we're inviting people that we like. I'm like, I want to hear what Christmas has to say, you know.
Mhm.
And I find myself actually
Mission
reading
accomplished.
articles again on our own site, which I find like really cool. But you wrote this article and you broke down what the five key habits.
Yeah.
We
It
can
was
talk
cool
about
because
it.
Chris
Key
texted
habits
me. He
of
was like,
Christmas.
"Hey, this is like, I had this idea, and you guys had just launched the daily, and he was like, kind of telling me about it in very obscure but exciting.
This is what I
ways.
do. I get excited about something. Doug will say, this is true.
All his ideas start up.
I
as
get
obscure.
excited.
Yeah.
The inner ADD kid starts ramping up, and I don't make sense for a while. I gotta get some words off. I go, okay, forget that.
Takes about 3
Here's
years
what I want.
before it starts making sense.
3 years sometimes. Yeah, sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. But this is a great example of we recognize that Christmas has these awesome habits, and we've seen it shake out in your life. And that, I guess, the first one is
Now
like,
I have awesome habits. I didn't have awesome habits before.
well, you had to learn. I mean, no one's born with awesome
By the way,
habits.
don't go drinking and doing drugs.
well,
it doesn't make
Genius.
you awesome.
Well, this goes
Doesn't make
back
you
to
awesome.
the whole 10-year thing. Is you didn't wake up 10 years ago and go, oh, these are the 5 habits I need to start
Yeah.
right now. It's like these are habits that you refined over this 10-year period.
I didn't even know I was implementing these, and it's funny to look back.
Right.
Even when I started to make those major changes, I was implementing all of these, and it's cool to see that I was practicing it before I knew I was supposed to be practicing it, but I had to practice it in order to make positive changes in my life,
Yeah.
and it just was a natural progression and then an awareness.
I think the number one thing people can, the first point is the first one, the breaking down the goals.
The first habit is set big goals, then break them down.
I think that a lot of people forget that they have to have smaller goals to get to that larger goal. They're like, oh, I just want to do 10 million things. And
Yeah.
and they don't know how to connect the dots. And if you work backwards, it helps you connect the dots a lot easier.
And don't you think, like, let's say back 10 years ago, if you would have said, I have a dream of becoming this person who's a NASCAR pit crew, like one of the first females do that, maybe the first. Were you the first NASCAR?
On the
female
cup level.
on the cup level.
To be on a pick team, yeah.
The competitions you've done and writing a book. If you would have laid out a big goal, like, and held yourself like, I'm going to be this person now, like forcing it, trying to make it happen, all the lessons wouldn't have fell into place. And
Well,
they
I
have to
think that-
come one after another in small chunks to lead you to where you need to go, right?
The experience of the journey is what really gives you the lessons.
Shapes you.
Yeah, and I think that it helps you retain integrity and gratitude for life. And it's, when I say gratitude for life, I mean like being thankful right here. We are in Sweden. This is our this is our thing now, and we have to give thanks for where we are in our life and not take it for granted and get into that mindset of I'm motherfucking Christmas Abbott.
You can say that. You like that, Abbott. I'm motherfucking Christmas Abbott.
But that's appropriate for certain times and not walking around, like just being one thankful for all of the fans.
Definitely
like I could
appropriate
go
for the
it.
Christmas special. Just want to point that out.
So I think the experience helps shape the goals and appreciation when they happen.
So you have any examples about how you've done that? Like you set a big goal and then you broke it down and you kind of built the whole process with the end in mind, and then how you actually made it to that goal?
One of the smaller goals was initially the nutrition seminar. And I get 8 out of 10 emails that I get are always asking me about my diet and my nutrition and what do I do and how do I train. But mostly instead of the performance aspect, it's the nutrition aspect. So I was like, I was just sitting on the couch one day. Me and Josh were kicking it, and I was like, gosh, I'm no offense, but I'm tired of responding to like these very detailed emails.
Right.
And
same
there
question over and over and over
has to be a way
again.
to convey this.
Number one, if you want to ask a good question, break it up into paragraphs at least. CTV and I, we've been having this conversation. Is the worst.
gosh.
The worst email is when it's all text, very little punctuation, no
Caps lock
breaks.
is on.
It'll come through on Facebook. That's usually how it comes through Facebook. It's just text, and it is literally very fatiguing.
I feel really
Like, is
bad.
this person 7 years old?
You get like 3 lines in, you're like, please.
I feel really bad because as soon as I start reading those, I just have an internal like anxiety attack, and I'm like, nope, I can't read it.
So if you start the
It's
email,
not that it's not that we don't want to read them or we don't want to respond. It is literally too hard to read.
It's hard.
There are grammatical rules in this world for a reason.
It doesn't have to be perfect.
give a
It just
pro
has
tip.
to be sectioned.
Let's give a pro tip to the
But
audience.
this is, I mean, that's a very basic level rule.
If you're writing an email and the first sentence you write is, sorry if this comes off really long and rambling, but ...
already know.
You know that it was
pages long.
rambling. Cut it down 80% and we'll answer it. We swear we'll answer it.
Yeah, you got to find something in the middle. Like either like get long, multiple pages of text on me your whole life story.
Yeah.
And there's almost no question in it, and I get to the end, and I wonder what
Where
they
was
want.
the question?
Do you feel better about what
Or-
you've said to me?
Or the opposite. I get emails and there's not even their name included. It just says, it doesn't say, "Hey Doug, enjoy the show. I have I have these specific questions. I would love some help," which I'm happy to help people that ask me questions like that. But it'll just say, "What should I eat?" That's it.
For what? Meat, veggies, some whatever.
I don't know.
Like, how
Who
do
are you?
How do I get
Like-
strong, Doug? Question mark. Like, oh
Yeah.
shit,
I
man.
get lots of questions
Yeah,
like
so-
that. They're
so
super general.
Yeah.
Just quick clarifying point. If you want questions answered, is quick context, a little bit about your background, no more than 1 paragraph, and that paragraph should not be more than 4 sentences.
I like that. This is very specific.
And then
Yep.
your questions should be bullet points. And I like them numbered because I can go 1, this is the answer to that. 2, that's the answer to that. If you do that, 10 times more likely to get
Yeah.
your question
Right.
answered.
It's like
and
briefly.
highlighted probably on the show. Hey, we really enjoyed this
Most
question.
definitely.
Yeah.
All right, so back to you.
So I kept getting emails, and I'm sitting there, and I was like, I wonder if somebody would, we were just talking, and it just formulated of having this seminar, and I was like, who's gonna come to my fucking seminar? I keep saying the F-bomb.
That's okay.
Okay.
It's
want me to
fully expected
Merry
on the
fucking
Barbell Shrugged
Christmas.
show.
Merry
Here's-
fucking Christmas, everybody.
There's a little bit of a anyway, so it was like, that's kind of crazy. It blew my mind. I was like, no. And then from thinking about this is the ultimate goal, I started thinking about, well, in order to do that, I need to know if it's 1 day, 2 days. I started structuring it. And I started structuring it on what information do I want to give out there? Like what's the core concept? And then working backwards. And that's really how I already had it all in my brain. So I just started putting it on paper and then rearranging it and refining it.
You broke it down.
I broke it down. And, it wasn't like I decided to do this all one day. I'd go in and lock myself in a coffee shop and I'd say, okay, I'm going to give myself 2 hours. This is like, today I'm only going to work on these categories. I'm not going to work on anything else.
Focus.
And, yeah.
Set big goals.
It's awesome. Blocking.
and then you set smaller goals to get there, and then you AMRAP your work.
I AMRAPed my work, and then within the first few, and it's funny because once you start working, you realize what else you need, and so I would just make a list of other items that I needed. I wouldn't go and start working on that. So I made a list.
That's a key point. If someone was not listening just now, can you say that again?
During my work, and
Thanks,
I
'cause I missed
realized
that.
I needed something else done,
It's like, oh, I was-
an additional piece. I would write it down and list it versus go and start on it, and because I'll go back and forth, and then I get no work done. So I was like, no, this is my focus. My focus is this specific category. Within this category, I need a list of foods, and I would just write down list of foods for maintainer category.
Is that the number one mistake people make?
And
Doug?
it was really,
Yeah.
it helped bring it all together. And I literally, within that seminar, I actually wrote the book that I got picked up on. And so it's so cool because big goal, little goals that actually came to back around to even a larger goal.
So
and
you
I didn't
planned
even
out
know
that
it.
seminar, and you already had like the outline.
Had the
done. So
outline.
you just had like, oh, this will be the chapter of this book. That
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's such a great way to
It's
write
awesome.
a book. Just to get constant feedback from people in the real world from your seminar, and
Yeah.
then just build it all into a book. It's the questions that you're getting in your seminar that people want answered in the book anyway.
Yes.
And it helps you make a book that people actually will read
Right.
because it's actually the content that they want because they've been asking for it during your seminars. It's this nice little system that builds a book that is easy to consume because it's very practical.
Mm-hmm.
So how can you apply this to training?
To training, oh man, I love it. So you know what's your big fat goal, right? Is they're like, I want to go compete at regionals. Maybe that's their big fat goal. Cool. I find that people don't want to do a competition until they're ready. There's
Oh,
no
yeah.
time you're ever going to be ready. The first time you're ready is after if you're ever ready, then I'm not sure what competition you're doing, especially with weightlifting as well. They say, I tell people, I'm like, whether you're ready or not, you need to go have the experience because you may have the physical ability to it, but the mental capacity is very different. And, it takes a lot out of you emotionally and mentally during a competition. You don't know how your body's going to respond. It's different than training in the gym.
You grow out of that.
You do.
Rapidly.
And it's
Yeah.
experience. So you may not have your muscle ups. You may not have your bar muscle ups or pistols, but you need to go do a competition and stop doing scaled. I don't care if you
The scale
aren't able
competitions.
to do. I mean, I get it.
Is that what
I
you're
get
saying?
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But always, deferring to scale, be like, oh, since I can't do one thing, I'm going to do scaled. I'm like,
It's
but
good
you
to-
clean and jerk 185 pounds. You are not scaled division.
Should people be scared of what they look like in those
they-
situations? Like,
Not at all.
They
Like,
should be scaling training, but not competition. is what you're saying,
Exactly.
Just to clarify.
Exactly.
Yeah.
because they're scared that they'll try the muscle up, and that they'll have that moment like in grade school, like the dream where you wake up in school and everybody's laughing at you. They'll think that they'll be on the platform and everybody go, look at this jerk who can't do 10 muscle ups in a row. But that never happens. People understand that there's weaknesses. In fact, if you struggle and fight through it in a competition, people will love you more for it.
And I would say 19 out of 20 people doing the competition are having some sort of frustration. They're not hiding from that one element that they have
Including
to,
you, right?
they
You have
couldn't do.
frustrations in
Oh man,
competitions.
I got forced into it. I literally got forced into it, and there was things that I couldn't do, and I was certain that I would be the last to finish, and I ended up placing 5th. You don't always have that success story, but the experience of the competition builds your confidence, even if you're not able to do all of the elements, all of the movements in,
What I
in
tell
the
people is
competition.
somebody has to be last. Why can't it be you?
Go get him, Tiger.
Being
Well,
last
you're
is
not
be-
going in it to win it. You're going in it to the experience in order to be able to, at a later date, go into it and win it.
Yeah.
I like to tell people you need to practice competing as much as practice anything else.
And you have to be a good loser.
Give yourself permission to suck. Well, give yourself
Don't
permission.
suck at losing.
Yeah, I
Look, you
find
can listen
people
to
aren't
this.
ready to. I find people aren't ready to compete for their first time until they're competing for the third time. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
until you're on your third round of something, you're not comfortable with it. You're not used to the setting. You're not used to the pressure. You're not used to people looking at
Exactly.
you. And then once you've done it 2 or 3 times poorly, you can be ready by the third time to do it for the first time.
And
Yeah.
maybe
Kinda makes
then
sense.
set expectations for how the meet goes, Like maybe then 3 or 4 times
You have
in say,
no idea how to approach anything until you've done it many times. I think it was I started competing in weightlifting maybe 2006, and it wasn't until I think it was 2012 where I felt like it wasn't until 2012 that I hit like a legit PR on the platform.
Yeah, I've
And it
yet
was
to
like
have that.
I hit a lot of PRs,
Mhm.
in training, obviously. But then it wasn't until I was on the platform I was like, oh, I feel more comfortable on stage, and I can actually use that to my advantage. But it took 6 years of competing
Yeah.
before that could happen. So
Yeah, I've
little
been
note there.
weightlifting for a couple
Yeah.
of years, and you go. It's different, even at the smaller meets. And you go up to I remember nationals. I walked up to the bar first snatch, and I looked down, and my hands were shaking.
Yeah.
I didn't even know my hands were shaking.
And you've been competing for years.
I love a
CrossFit,
stage.
weightlifting, NASCAR. You'd been competing.
Yeah.
And you were still nervous.
I was still nervous.
That's a big stage.
It's a big stage, and I got done, and there was so much momentum because of the adrenaline, and I was like, I could have
rush.
totally bailed on that. It could have crushed me. And a lot of people find that they either do better in competition or they crumble in competition. And just because you crumble the first time doesn't mean that you should stop competing. It's just that
It means you need to build the skill.
Yeah, build the skill, and competing is a skill. So if you expect to be able to get everything you want physically out of your performance, and then say, now I'm going to go win the regionals, or now I'm going to go win this competition, you are sadly mistaken, because you have taken a skill component out.
And just to give like a little bit of like, so people can kind of like understand how it might be different for me when I'm weightlifting in the gym. I can remember every snatch. I can remember how it felt. I can like break it down, fractional second by fractional second. But to this day, when I compete on a platform, I don't remember anything.
Yeah.
It's like everything is just gone. And
We have to go into a flow state.
It's like a whole nother experience. And if you're not used to that, like just not being in, like just kind of going out, then that's just to give you a little bit of context of like how different it really is.
Yeah.
Like it's a completely different
I
animal.
love the fact you said how you get shaky hands up there, and how I think people need to embrace the situations that cause them to be scared and uncomfortable. And like, if you feel yourself being put in an awkward position, and you feel yourself having to rise up to tackle something like that, you're probably in a good space. Push forward. Something good will come out of this.
Yeah. And I mean, it's the whole, fight or flight concept. And fighting in this situation is just keep going forward. You have to fight to not retreat.
Yeah.
And, that's
how you progress.
Been a lot of my
If
life.
you do that in competition, you're going to be able to do that in other aspects of your life, because there's not many things scarier than competition from what I've experienced. Yeah.
Because you think that everybody's looking at you and you're messing up, and, it's nobody really is looking at you for the most part.
No, that's
and if you mess up, nobody cares either.
all us primates feel the same when we get put in uncomfortable situations. Like Christmas feels fear. She feels worried that, can I really pull off the book? Are people really going to pay to hear what I have to say about nutrition? It's a common element between us, isn't it? You just got to push through that.
And I
I feel
still
people
have
are gonna read the book.
freakouts. I'm like, what am I getting into?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Can I do this? Is this fucking crazy? I don't know.
Yeah, I know that one. We already actually went right through point number 2.
That's right.
We just flowed.
That's
right
how
into-
natural it
that's-
is.
That's how good you are at writing. It's like, this is a natural progression of thought stream. So point number 2 was always try new things. And we just kind of rolled right into that.
I love it.
Yeah, so we'll skip right over to point number 3 was do good without expectation.
Well, I want to go back to point number 2 just for 1 second. When I
Sure.
say try new things, I'm going, and I've said this many, many times before, the things that I have loved the most have been the things that I absolutely did not want to try. They were terrifying. I was angry about having to try, the polar bear
Beautiful.
plunge, changing tires. I was terrified about weightlifting. I was terrified about trying CrossFit, but it intrigued me enough to want to try it. One of my favorite pastimes is snowshoeing. I was furious. Yeah, I don't know. It's
I didn't know
weird.
that.
I'm
getting to
getting
know
a
you better,
snowshoe, by the
Christmas.
way. We need to go snowshoeing.
It's so fun. I love it. Go to the top, have a little fire, little lunch, check back down.
You've got me convinced.
See,
I was angry because
not.
I don't like to be cold.
I'm not convinced. Still doesn't sound cool.
She had me at lunch.
It didn't sound cool, but I'm like going up to the top of the mountain, just angry about it, and I'm like, this is gonna be the worst day of my life. As soon as we started going, like within 2 minutes of snowshoeing, once we got on the snow, I was like, this is amazing. And I was angry at myself for not giving myself an opportunity to try something new and ultimately amaze myself. And now I have this favorite pastime. And so ultimately, just try new things. Even if you don't want to, even if you have no interest whatsoever, you'll be surprised at what you're interested in.
And next week is New Year's Day.
Boom.
What better time to say, okay, I'm going to try new things?
Polar bear plunge.
Yes.
That was
Yeah.
new.
I used to follow this little mantra of
Vintabach.
do it anyway. I was at a nutrition seminar like 15 years ago, like one of the first nutrition seminars I ever went to, and this woman was saying that when she was brought up, her father had this little thing that he would say to her all the time, no matter what it was just do it anyway.
Yeah.
And it's as stupid as that sounds, and as basic and easy as that sounds, it actually did really, really well for me. I was like, well, there's no reason to do this thing. There's no reason to go snowshoeing. There's no reason to try a CrossFit competition or whatever. But fuck it, just do it anyway. Just try something new, just to try something new with no expectation.
And it doesn't
right?
have to be anything huge. You know, it could be trying the hot yoga class versus flow, or a flow and restore class. It doesn't have to be anything major. It can be something much, much smaller, but you're still expanding your toolbox.
Yeah, do it just because you've never done it.
Yeah.
That's why you should do it. That's the reason.
Boom.
If you've never done it before.
Doug delivered.
I like that.
You know what that does? If you start
Yeah.
doing that shit, you get this sense of like, there's other things I think I could do that used to seem crazy as shit, and now I think maybe I could do them. Still scary, still overwhelmingly scary, but what if I just do that anyway? And pretty soon you just get in this habit of like, what's the next thing I could do that's awesome? What about that? And you're kind of jumping and
It's like momentum.
leapfrogging
Yeah.
up, and before you know it, you're writing a book and you're on a podcast with the most handsome man you've ever seen in your life.
I'd like to point out some people are more apt to try new things constantly, and other people aren't. And so, like, if you're one of those people who are like never
Those
want
are
to try something new,
Recruit a buddy.
doing exactly what.
Pair up with someone. Is that what you're about to say?
No, I wasn't gonna say that, but go ahead.
That's how I've done a whole lot of really fun things in my life. Is I pair up with a bunch of people who are super proactive and like to try new shit, like Mike and Chris, and they kind of just pull me along for the ride.
Yeah, he said it many times. He's like, "Hey, thanks for making me do that."
Yeah.
Because he'll be
Yeah.
he's like, "I don't think this is a good idea. It sounds dangerous."
To be fair, 9 out of 10 times I go, I told you that was a bad idea.
we do a lot.
Which isn't true. I'm just joking.
Hey,
But yeah,
we're still alive. We got all of our fingers and toes. You know,
Although
so.
Doug almost did get hit by a tram out there.
I was hit by a tram
you
yesterday too.
That's right.
We all did.
We all
Okay.
almost died.
I just
That's
wanted
right.
to make
That's
sure
very
that people
metaphorical.
understood.
I was following you yesterday, and I wasn't too sure about it, and then I almost got hit by a train. It's a metaphor for a lot of things in my life.
Do
But
it
you
anyway.
didn't get hit by a tram.
But I didn't.
I almost
That's true.
dropped an
You just thought you
800-pound
almost
I-beam on him once too, but he still has his foot.
That's true as well.
Number 3, do good without expectation. What
Oh,
does
man.
that mean?
Dude, this is so cool. My friend Greg Lucas, the CrossFit Traveler, he has these shirts that just say "Be awesome." And I was talking to him one day, and I've always been I have a really life motto that it's like, don't be a D, don't be a dick.
Hey, bro.
It's-
Dean. Yeah.
You can
Whatever you want it to be.
you fill in a lot of words there. I like it. I like it a lot.
You could also say
I like
be a
to say
D.
D just because it's filling
Leaves it
whatever
open.
blank you want.
I like it.
Could be
Don't be a
douchebag, could be
douche.
dick, could be anything.
And now the fans are gonna write all the D words.
Do it.
Perfect.
Let's see how creative the fans can
Tweet a
get.
bunch of D words at Christmas.
Yeah.
Send her a picture of your D.
No
Whatever your D
No.
happens to
Oh
be.
God.
What is your D? A really motivational Instagram pic.
We are gonna break the
Show us
internet.
She loves D pics.
Make sure to tag her fiance.
That's right.
Josh will love it.
Everybody's
Oh.
like, no.
Josh is gonna get enraged really quick.
But I was sitting, we were sitting there talking, and he's just like, just be good. He's like, don't do good with the intention that it's going to come back to you.
Oh yeah, that
And-
happens a lot. People are like, well, why would
Well,
I
people
do
can
that? It's like,
tell
Right.
Just do
immediately.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
Or just like paint the whole concept of paying it forward. He's like, don't pay it forward. Just pay it. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like,
That's
just
gangster, man.
do good without ever thinking that life is going to give good back to you, because it most likely won't. You're going to have to carve that out for yourself. But if you are good to people without expectation, they're going to hopefully be good to other people, and just creating this higher level of just being good people. I know it sounds so obscure and left field, but it really is kind of cool to just put good out there and being like, nope, I'm just going to let it go and let it run its course. And it's pretty cool.
I say reciprocation is a very powerful.
Well, not expecting
governing-
reciprocation though.
Huh?
I mean,
No,
things will reciprocate whether you expect it or not.
Yeah. I mean, if you put all your focus on the giving,
But
like
if you don't
what can you
expect
contribute?
it, you're never like, when is this going to come back to
Like
me?
people will ask you, like Christmas, like what do I? Here's all the things I love, and here's what I want to do. I don't know what to do. Like how can I like move forward? And whatever the question may be, wouldn't you just start with this by saying, what are you uniquely qualified to give? Like what is the thing that you could give? Like what What about your background? What skill sets? What things are you interested in right now that could help somebody? If you just pour yourself into that, man, you'd be fucking amazed at what comes out the other end, right?
I think people who love fitness too, they love health and fitness. They go, I want to do something in that, like, and they're like, oh, but I don't know much about this, or this.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, are you good at web design? Are you good at, like, there's like all these things, like, what do you do for work that you love doing that's not exactly health and fitness? And you could probably get involved with somebody else who does know something. Like, you could probably use people on your team that would, having a good web designer would be fantastic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you may already have that, but like that, I'm just using that as an example. Is a lot of times people get caught up and they can't do exactly what they see other people doing.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like,
You
I
don't
can't
wanna
do
You
it.
guys hit it
You don't
on
wanna
the
do
nail on
that.
the head, is that they don't recognize their own strengths
Right.
because they don't look and reflect upon what they are good at, and what what you love may not be what you're good at, but you're gonna eventually be good at it if you keep at it. But I think that it's people don't reflect on their strengths versus their weaknesses that is exceptional to them.
Right.
And that usually is the gift that they can give other people.
Well, there's an
I think
Oscar
a lot of
Wilde.
time-
So go ahead, man.
I think a lot of time, with respect to what you were just saying, people ask the wrong question. If someone wants to come into the fitness industry and be a coach, for example, they might ask, am I an expert? Am I the best?
Right.
It's kind of like the competition thing. Am I already the best? And if I'm not already the best, then I don't want to compete. It's the same thing with becoming a coach. A lot of people think, well, I couldn't be a coach because I'm not the best already, as if anyone that started coaching was the best when they started. Instead,
I was terrible in the beginning. by the way.
we all were. So what people should
we
be
all
asking,
cringe, man. We all
what people
cringe.
should be asking instead isn't, am I the best? Am I the best nutritionist? Am I the best coach? Am I the best weightlifter? That's not what they should ask. If they want to become a coach, they should ask, do I have the ability to help people who are a level below me?
Right.
That's what they should be asking.
Yeah.
And if you have the ability to
even
help
then-
somebody, then you should be a coach and you'll get better over time.
Even then, how do I get that ability? Because ultimately, right now, we're talking about that higher goal and then working backwards, right? They want to be a coach, but now they're just an athlete that maybe isn't a very good athlete, right? You don't have to be a really good athlete to be a good coach. So how
By
do
the
they
way,
just kind of start
high-level
taking?
athletes a
No,
lot of times don't make the best.
no, they're like just do an overhead squat pistol. Just do it.
Why can't you
You know?
just do it?
Just do it.
That's
I
right.
can't tell you how many times I've heard. I'm like, what do you mean, just do it?
This is not
Usually,
Nike.
awkward movers are better coaches because they
Yeah.
have to break it down.
They had to break it
They
down.
had to learn how to do it at some point.
Right. and very practical application. But ultimately, you want to be a coach. Well, what do? You try and teach a class, and you realize, oh gosh, this is difficult. How do I start developing this skill? Going to weekend seminars or online education, those things will help develop those skills. And like what you said, then you start teaching somebody that's below you or less experienced or even better experienced and get feedback.
Yeah, if you want to be a
Shadowing other coaches and getting their feedback
Yeah.
when they watch you coach their class, but
Yeah.
they're there as a mentor is one of the best ways to get good very quickly.
That's
You don't
another
have
thing
to-
that's shocking to me is people go, they're like, how do I get started, And they just want to, like, start their own thing and start coaching. I'm like, well, when I started with CrossFit, like, there were no other CrossFitters in town. And that's why we opened up a box. And we kind of had to, like, fumble through everything. But that's usually not the case now. There's like 10 boxes. Like, I don't like those guys or something like that. It's like, go intern for those guys. You'll probably end up liking
Yeah,
them.
if you want to do it, you'll find a way to be able to just insert
started.
yourself into the community at some capacity. My friend Megan, she had no coaching experience. She was not a good athlete, and she was like, I don't know what I want to do. I just want to learn and take in some information. And from there, she started developing her skill. And she actually, she works for HQ now. She was working for Reebok, and that was within 2 years of coming to me and just being like, I don't know. What do I do? I'm like, the first thing you do is you just come tag along with boot camp. And she just drank the water, and she was very self-initiative to learn that. And she,
What did you put in the water? Anything fun?
oh yeah, always.
Here,
Was it
just
tasteless,
literally
odorless?
just drink this water.
No, not that water. This water.
But I said the most important thing you do is just start. It doesn't
Start.
matter how small it is. It doesn't matter. This is not going to be your destiny forever. You won't always be this little small thing. Just start and see what happens.
All right, let's move on to point number 4.
Woo.
Actually, the last two are my favorites.
Yeah.
Number 4 is learn to put yourself first. Sometimes. You put sometimes, but
I know.
usually
It
you
was
gotta
like,
put
I
yourself
was like,
most
man, somebody's going
times.
to take that really literally and just be like, everybody, they're going to be like, I'm always first.
Screw everybody. Screw you. Screw you. Screw
F
you.
you, I'm first.
I'm out.
Christmas did.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I love this because, and it's funny, we were talking about this earlier, and you were like, especially women. Especially women need to say, hey, this is
the
my
biggest
time.
complaint. Guys tend to have a really easy time putting themselves
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Yeah.
And honestly,
guys
I
are
think
much more individual focused. Girls
Yeah.
much more community focused.
yeah,
usually.
they and I probably gonna get some backlash, but I think naturally we just want to take care of or please, and you guys are like, please me, take care of me.
Well, Mike is.
I like when women please me.
Yeah, but Doug is right. Like guys tend to be, somebody with a masculine nature tend to be more individualized, and people with, and this isn't gender specific, but most of the time
Right.
it is. So I want to kind of put that out there too, so that we don't get
Right. Oh my God,
smashed
I can
by-
only hear the
Yeah, but
typing now.
I say there's about 10%.
How
10%
dare
of women are a little more masculine, and 10% of men are a little more feminine.
I
doesn't mean
identify
you
much
look
more with
masculine.
the masculine.
I would say you're a little
Yeah.
more and Chris here, people don't know this, but he's a little more feminine.
You know what? I will not for one second be embarrassed by that. I am proud of the fact that I have a lot of female tendencies in terms of like wanting.
Feminine tendencies. That's right.
Yeah,
Well,
feminine.
female
Like,
too.
people are like, what in the shit? What in the shit is Chris talking about? What I'm saying is, I am personally fueled by that engagement and community, and the sense that I want to do this because I want people to see what we're doing and enjoy it and join us for the ride. I don't really have. Maybe sometimes it'd be fun to have more of the individual ego, but I love the fact that's my perspective. I'm okay with that,
You have more of a we collective mentality than someone who's very individual, agentic focused, where it's all about ego and me and what do I get out of this.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
that's a good thing.
Yeah, and I
it
think
tends to be a feminine quality, but it doesn't mean it's necessarily a good thing or bad thing. It's just a thing, and that for you is your style, and it works very well.
Yeah, I'd say whatever. The key thing is I've had to learn that whatever you are, that whatever your natural tendency is, you have to just embrace that. If it's feminine, own it and use
Yeah.
it to do good. And it doesn't matter really what you are, but the key thing I think is when you find somebody who is counter and complementary to you, do more with them too. So that first action is so important. And then find somebody who can take that action with you who's complementary to you. And now you can start to see how you can start sort of raising exponentially the power you can have and the good you can do, That's what we've got here. We're all different personalities. We come
right.
together to do some awesome shit, right?
And
Yeah.
we're watching the sunrise over Sweden.
Over Gothenburg.
So how do you put yourself first sometimes?
You have to
To the
one,
point.
seriously,
Like
you really
sometimes?
have to carve the time out. Or, I, a lot of the times, and this is just kind of a general statement, but like in my nutrition seminars, women are like, well, I have to cook a dinner for my husband and I have to cook a, separate meal for all 3 of my kids. And I'm like, why? And she's like, well, they don't eat the same things. And then they're
do
there
now.
because they want to better themselves. They want to find a way to eat for their life. And, I'm like, first you have to have your community on board. You have to talk to your family and have them support you in this endeavor. So you're bringing them together. And that even is selfish. Saying, hey,
So that's
look,
just
I'm going to do this for
communication.
me. And I need you guys to support me, and that may mean that you guys eat some meals that you don't want to. And then I kind of playful. I'm like, look, if you are cooking the meals, they're going to eat what you cook.
I will
So
tell
be
you this.
selfish of like, this is my food. You can either eat it with me, or you can cook your own thing.
Yeah, this is leadership. This is leading your family. Your kids shouldn't lead the family when it comes to something as
Yeah.
important as fucking
Oh, yeah.
nutrition.
And I tell people, I'm like, look, I don't have kids, but I've seen, a lot of my friends, a lot of my family, and I've seen them work this aspect. Don't bring it in the house if you don't want to eat it. But, otherwise, it's you being selfish for something that you need in your life or changes.
It's
Another
usually
thing,
better for everybody else. And
Yeah,
this is something I've noticed is anytime my wife is trying to get lean, guess who also gets lean? This guy. I'm not going to go, first off, I'm not going to tell her not to get lean. And then second off, when it starts happening, I'm like, I'm just going to eat whatever's around. I might get a little hungry here and there, but I get like extra snacks or something. And then if she's eating for performance, I usually put on weight.
even
so it's
beyond
kinda like
food.
and so I'm
You know a
letting
good
her
example of
have
this?
that. But that's because we have that communication. The communication is
Yeah.
very
I think
important.
a great example is like mothers who are in CrossFit. one of the big struggles is you have, let's say you get it going, you get in shape, and you have a family start. Like I think the first thing you would struggle with is like feeling like it's not right for you to take time for yourself to get back in shape or to go to the gym before you come home to the kids. People will give themselves too much to their kids. That's what you should do, right? Question mark. But then you realize that you can't be an optimized ass-kicking mother if you don't do the things you need to do for yourself first.
Absolutely.
So you can give more to your kids.
And you're setting a better example for your children. And this even transitions into relationships. You know, Josh and I are very good at like, hey, you go off with the boys and hang out because I'm going to go off with the girls and hang out. And if you get pouty about it, then you have to deal because I need my time. And we're very big on making sure that we have our own time to when we do come back to the relationship, we have more to contribute to it. And it's important because, you know, I'm very independent. I'm very driven. And he is too.
I wouldn't guess it.
But if I went into like this very codependent relationship and I wasn't selfish with my time, then I would be making like hurting the relationship and the overall being for what we're striving to do. So we are very big on like having our own time. You know, we come back together and have a good time. But if I'm like feeling a little bit grumpy or whatever, I'm like, you can go over there. I'm going to like have my corner. I need to work. I want to have me time, or I'm going to go off and shop and spend my money. And it's okay because ultimately it's making me feel better. And he's going to go off and do something that makes him feel better. And then we're going to come back and be able to be excited about seeing each other again.
You can share what you've been doing. You got something to talk about.
Bring something back that you'll both enjoy.
Yeah.
All right, point number 5, my favorite. Purge the negativity from your life.
Purge the naked titty from your life.
I was like, this is gonna go.
I love going to fitness festivals. TNA everywhere.
What's in the coffee?
Freud was right. Purge the negativity from your life.
Oh my gosh! Just stop saying I can't. Yes, you can. Maybe not today, but eventually. They're like, I can't do that. Well, of course you can't do that because you believe that you can't. Mm-hmm. Just say, I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress. You have to put it into a context that you are in the process of and that you will eventually. And stop taking that no. I mean, stop putting that no or that not into it. And that always like, you always like undercut yourself. Mm-hmm. You know, I hear this all the time, especially with people in the gym or with nutrition or just in life. They're like, oh, I can't do that. I'm like, look, if I was able to pull myself out of a ditch and get myself to ground zero and then build from there and be able to be where I am today, everybody can do something that is good for themselves. And it's just so frustrating to hear such a blanket of negativity around people that they just don't even know it's there. And they're just restricting themselves all the time in every single part of their life.
Yeah.
I get mad about it.
I know some high-performance communities, say like a group of like Navy SEALs or something like that. And I'm not sure if they actually do this in Navy SEALs or not, but like high-performance groups like that, in some settings, they won't tell you that instead of saying I can't, you have to say I can, because that in some sense that is unrealistic because not everything is possible today, even if you can get to it eventually. So instead, you'll be corrected, and it's almost against the rules to say I can't. You'll be corrected to say I won't instead of I can't.
Right.
Because you can do it. You're just choosing not to. And so you have to say I won't.
Yeah.
That way it really sinks in that you are making a choice right now to not do something. Not because it's not possible, but because you are actively choosing not to, and that's your own psychology. That's your own decision internally that you're not going to do something, and it's not because the world's holding you back. It's because you are holding you back.
Right.
You got to be careful what you say and what you pretend to be, and how you and the friends you surround yourself with, because these are the conditions that make you exactly what you are. Like whatever you pretend to be is what you are. That mindset will limit you or allow you to push forward. That's the truth, man.
Yeah, I like what Doug was saying, too. As a coach, I like to say, people go, oh, I can't do that. I go, oh, you're right. And then they go,
what? You're supposed to say, no, come on, get it together.
Of what the coach is supposed to say, I go, you're right. And they're like, almost like, why? I was like, well, the fact that you believe that you can't means you can't.
Yeah.
And they go,
so story's over.
And then it turns into this conversation, and then they hate me. But actually, I rolled out. I don't do this. Well, I roll out of bed and 10 minutes later I check out my Instagram every morning. And then my friend So Wrong Fitness. You should follow him on Instagram, by the way, because he posts some funny stuff. He posted a quote by Henry Ford this morning. How fitting! It says, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right."
Yeah.
And so
I
that's
thought Stewie
very
Griffin
fitting.
came up with that.
And
I
then,
tell people a
and then-
lot of my athletes, they come in, they're like, well, I don't know, or I can't, or whatever. And I'm like, why can't you? Like, just give yourself the opportunity to amaze yourself. Because a lot of the times you'll be surprised. You're so much more capable of doing things that you didn't know you were doing if you just give yourself a chance. Try it. Try new things. Give yourself a chance. But I always say, I'm like, give yourself an opportunity to amaze yourself. And most of the time it happens.
It comes back to as well, like in an instance like that, as a coach, they say, I can't do that. And you go, okay, well, maybe you can't do that, but what piece of that can you do? And how many pieces of that can you do? And you might find it's only like this little piece that's scaring them, that's providing some amount of fear, that's making them say that I can't do it. But really they can do like 80% of what you're talking about. They might say, I can't do a snatch correctly. And you go, okay, well, can you do any part of it well? And they say, well, I can do this part, and this part, but I can't seem to have it hit my hips correctly or hip pockets or whatever. And you go, okay, well, let's work on that little piece.
And it's usually like the teeniest piece.
Yeah, now you have
it's
a, now you have a
it's one little
solution.
thing.
And now you break the fear, right? The fear loop is broken. Now you can get past it.
last thing, negative people too. Get those people out of your life.
Oh.
I think that's the hardest thing to do.
Funny story, and I tell this in my nutrition seminar about having scheduled cheat days and making sure that you do it guilt free. If you do well, and somebody was like, "Don't reward yourself with food. You're not a dog." Get out of my face. Okay.
By the
You
way,
don't know what the fuck
I
you're
don't
talking
reward
about.
my dog with food.
I don't either.
They might not be right, but that's funny.
Shit, where was I? What was I saying?
I don't know.
Negative people.
You know what?
Oh yeah, cheat day, negative people. Look, if you're gonna go have a cheat meal or a cheat item, I say cheat item, and you're hanging out with
That's a good way to
friends,
put it.
and they're like, so I have my cupcake, you have your cupcake, and the girl beside me or the guy beside me is like, I really shouldn't have this. Oh my God, this is gonna make me fat. Oh my gosh, whoa, I shouldn't eat this. I feel so guilty. Shut your face. Get out of my zone, because I'm gonna enjoy my meal, and you being a negative Nelly over here is really pissing me off, because I've worked hard for this and I'm going to enjoy it. So you need to pack your little cupcake up and go home.
Pack your little cupcake up. Fuck off.
So, yeah, like, just don't do it. If you don't want it or shouldn't have it, then don't put it in your mouth. Like, just don't do it. I get mad about it. Don't ruin my cheat item. Don't ruin it.
What tips would you have for people who, the person who's holding them back, like in training and stuff, is
You
the
know,
most,
you gotta-
one of the most closest people to them, though? That also happens, right?
You can have a, hey, look, if we're going to hang out during this time, it's my time. Be selfish, and I need you not to be negative. And it's just having a conversation and making people, one, aware that they're negative. A lot of people don't, and you don't have to be like, hey, man, you're a real dick. You don't have to do that unless you have that
Don't call
reputation
names.
But you can
with
be,
them.
there's nothing wrong with being honest. Say, hey, look, I feel that it would be helpful if you would get over these things. You can communicate
You don't-
openly and
they
honestly.
don't have to get over it. It's not your job to make them get over it. It's your job to make them aware that they are affecting you. And then how they want to deal with that is their responsibility.
Yeah, I like it.
But hey, look, when we're in our time, from this time to this time, we're having coffee or we're having our cake, I need you to hang up the negative words. And then maybe they might be like, well, man, I really am negative. It's just an awareness issue most of the time.
And if they don't, you tell them, well, I'll
like,
sorry,
then
I'll step away. And
Right. We
best
don't get
of
to
luck.
spend much time together
All right,
because you're
with that
toxic.
point, I want to say thanks to
He's like, shut up.
with that
Sorry,
point,
CTP.
I want to say thanks
Didn't mean
to
to
Heaven
direct your
23
audio.
restaurant here at Gothia Towers in Gothenburg.
Gothenburg.
Where's
Gothenburg.
Gothenburg.
Yep.
Gothenburg, Sweden. And yeah, we're here, and they let us set up a shop and drink all their coffee. Christmas has to go to a nutrition workshop at the Swedish Fitness Festival.
No, actually, I'm throwing some barbells around.
Oh,
Boom.
we're gonna go lift some weights.
Slam some bars.
All right.
really be putting it down. I'm the hottest round. I told y'all mother, y'all can stop me now. Listen to me now. I'm lasting 20 rounds. And if you want me, then come and get me now.
Welcome back to Technique WOD. We're in Gothenburg, Sweden at the Swedish Fitness Festival, and Christmas Abbott is here with us to teach a couple of courses on the basics of Olympic weightlifting, snatches, cleans, and jerks. When she gets done here, she's going to come back out to the Eleiko booth, and she's going to show a couple of easy tips that she uses with her beginners at CrossFit Invoke to help them learn how to get started with specifically snatches and cleans.
Welcome back to Technique WOD. My name is Christmas Abbott. I am a nationally ranked weightlifter, CrossFit Games competitor, and I also own CrossFit Invoke in North Carolina. Today what we're going to be doing is breaking down a very simple cue, jump and catch or jump and punch. And what we're trying to do is get those hips open and receive that bar in a nice position. A lot of times this is overlooked or over-blabbered, over-taught initially. And so we're gonna break it back down, elicit a really good response, and then you can build from there. So keep it simple, keep it fun, and you'll see that you have better movement from your athlete. Cueing by jumping is going to get them to open the hips, drive through the heels, and really you can do this for the snatch or the clean and jerk. I always start with the snatch because it's the more difficult movement, and I go from more difficult to easier. You hook grip. What's going to happen is I'm going to say jump and punch in order to land it. It's that simple. So every time I'm going to jump the weight up and receive it with a punch into the air. I let people to know they need to get aggressive, so hard jump, high jump opens the hips in order for them to get that bar momentum, their momentum going up, and for them to be able to receive it in a locked elbow every time. The same application can be applied to the clean, and if you watch my hips, you're gonna see that the hips come open if I jump high or hard. Jump, stand. You can do the same with a jerk. Jump, stand. Reset. The athlete understands this a lot easier than being really technical with how they scoop, open the hips, drive through the heels, drive through the toes, and then fall under and receive it. Later on, you can add technique to this with the scoop and the extension, but initially that's a little bit too advanced for beginners. So you can make it a little bit simpler, make it a little bit easier, and tell them to either jump high or jump hard. And then later on, they'll refine this movement when they have understood the foundation. Somebody that's a little bit more experienced in weightlifting may see this and freak out of just jumping, but understand that we are just starting this endeavor. It's a long journey to be able to compete at an Olympic level with weightlifting, but you have to start somewhere. And the jump and catch or the jump and punch is going to elicit that movement as closely as possible before we start to refine it on a more advanced level. If you're a coach out there and you're working with somebody brand new or somebody that's just an awkward mover, definitely take it back a few steps. Try not to be so technical and make it easy, easy, easy by jump and punch, and then you can refine it as soon as they have started to develop that kinesthetic awareness.
Whoa.
Parkour?
Oh, some of them are laughing at you.
That was vicious parkour.
2, 1, Shaka Bras.
And we're back. We just coincidentally ran into Eric of Eleiko again.
Amazing, yeah.
We traveled all the way from
Good to see you again.
Halmstad over to Gothenburg for the Swedish Fitness Festival. We said, hey, we should find a sweet little cafe to get a drink.
That's what we did.
And then you walked in, and we're like, oh, we just happen to have our podcast gear set up.
Yeah, it was fate.
We were meant to talk again. We actually wanted to get together and talk about the Worlds, I think we left some stuff out.
Yeah.
Than what we had talked about before. We were pretty focused on kind of the barbell, which was awesome. But you just came back from Kazakhstan.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. We just the competition in Kazakhstan in Almaty just finished, so we were there and supplied the whole setup of equipment, and it was quite an amazing competition, to say the least. So there were.
And what competition was that? What level of competition?
This was the Senior World Championships in weightlifting, and this is the biggest event, of course.
The next level up is Olympics.
Yes, exactly. So you got the worlds every year except for the Olympic years. Then you only have the Olympic Games. So this is what all the national teams are focused on. And it was in Kazakhstan, and Kazakhstan is a big weightlifting nation as well. They took 4 medals in London, and it's a huge thing over there.
People only think about Ilya. Or Ilian.
Yeah,
but the whole team is extraordinary.
Yeah, they have fantastic. They have a lot of lifters, upcoming lifters as well. So incredible weightlifting nation. And Ilya Ilian was there as well, and he just he moved into the 105 kilo class.
Crushed it.
And crushed it.
Broke some world records.
World record in the final lift. So incredible stuff.
Wasn't the world record traded back 2 or 3 times in that flight?
Yeah.
2 other guys hit it, then he caps them to win the gold.
Exactly. So about three world record lifts in a row.
Wow.
So I hadn't seen that yet.
Wait, didn't he miss his second attempt?
Yeah, he did. So that was pretty awesome.
He missed his second attempt, came back with heavier weight.
Yeah.
And then broke the world record.
It's the best meet I've heard of since, I guess, when Pocket Hercules had this meet. We were talking about Brian, where there was a competition. What was his name? Sulmanoglu. From Turkey.
Yeah.
But apparently, the guy who there was a snatch and a clean jerk world record set by separate lifters.
Yeah.
And then his total beat both of them. That was another epic weightlifting competition.
Cool.
Yeah, but that sounds like that was close to being the same kind of high level fever pitch, just awesome. Like the venue looked amazing.
Yeah, it looked amazing.
Looked like a jam-packed NBA arena.
I think Ilya Ilyin, he said in an article sometime before the championships that there was a 99.9% chance that he was going to win. But in the
not
end,
overconfident. There was a chance he was going to lose.
No, but he said that's one of the reasons you've observed him. You say this is a big contributing factor to success. He's always smiling, and his mindset is very optimized, and he's extremely confident that he will win. There's no doubt in his mind.
Yeah.
Maybe 0.1% doubt, but it's probably a joke. He's probably 100% confident he's going to win.
Yeah, exactly, and which I think you need, because just to have the mental strength to go in and deliver such a lift, that's you need something special.
It's courageous to do. Jump underneath 533 pounds or whatever that lift was.
Yeah, exactly.
So the next really big competition is actually going to be in the U.S. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So next year the Worlds is the World Championship is in Houston, Texas, and that's of course. I think it's the first time you got the Senior World Championships in
I think it
the
is.
U.S. for 40 years. So it's
for
a big
40.
Wow.
Yeah. I was going to say I don't think I'd ever heard of it being in the U.S.
No, so this is a big thing.
That shows how the times have changed.
Every time I hear about Worlds, like people talk about, I went to the World Championships. It's like it's always in the context of Europe or
exactly.
some, they had to travel across an ocean to get there.
Yeah. So hopefully this will be a big thing for the US as well, and people who love weightlifting. I mean, it's a fantastic opportunity to go and watch amazing competitions, amazing lifters, and also lifters from the whole world. So you got all the national teams there, and you're gonna have some amazing stuff. And this is also going to be the qualifying event for the Rio Games the year after. So
not only the first time in 40 years, but a really huge.
It's actually very interesting because
it's going to be the biggest Olympics weightlifting, right?
Yeah.
For the United States, last Olympics, we didn't get to send as many men as we would have liked because we had a problem at Worlds.
Yeah.
The year before. So the Worlds play a huge factor in what countries get to send how many lifters.
Exactly.
So if your country does not perform as well at Worlds, totally screw up your representation at the Olympics. So it is a big deal. The fact that we get to have it in the U.S. should be really good for the United States representation at the Olympics in Brazil.
Exactly, and from what I hear, everything is bigger in Texas. So hopefully this will be.
I spent the summer in Texas. I think that's true.
Yeah.
Everything is bigger there.
Yeah, and weightlifting just continues to grow in the United States. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger every year. So there should be that many more people that are willing to go to the World Championships compared to even if this happened 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine that event is going to be enormous as far as American people attending, which probably isn't normally the case in other countries.
Yeah.
Like we're going to go. I've never been before.
Oh, we're going to be there the whole time.
I agree. Yeah. It's going to be good to see that. Absolutely.
Mm.
And
we'll introduce you to Texas barbecue and all that stuff.
Oh, looking forward to it. No, I agree, and especially with what's happening now in fitness and in sports. I mean, weightlifting is really growing. And the way it interacts as well with CrossFit, I think it's amazing because it really the two sports really support each other. So I think this could be a good opportunity also for CrossFit, functional fitness, and other and also just professional sports like the colleges and the universities to go and learn some and watch some really fantastic.
It'll change your
lifting.
mindset forever once you see these guys lift.
It's a perfect time to have it in the U.S.
Yeah.
If we had the Worlds 5 years ago, it probably would have been
embarrassing.
Exactly. There probably wouldn't have been much people that showed up. They probably wouldn't know it was happening.
Yeah.
Now because everyone got into CrossFit in the United States, and that's really fueled weightlifting in the United States. I mean, who knows how many more lifters there are now? I mean, USAW could probably tell us how many more memberships there are. I mean, it's more than doubled over the years.
Yeah.
I mean, they're breaking records on number of competitors in competitions almost every time there's a new big competition, like the American Open
last year was the biggest meet in the world, I think, up to that point. Like, we had, 350-something lifters registered, and so that was like the biggest meet in the world. So it's the perfect time to hold the Worlds in the United States. So we're really excited because we want to be able to have the Worlds in the United States and then show that there's a lot of people that can show up and are going to really support the sport. And then potentially that could lead to having Olympics.
This happened with to some extent with strongman. I think where when I was growing up, early on strongman was an American thing. Then the Europeans just started dominating the sport of strongman. Yeah. Every world's strongest man competition I saw for years and years and years was in Europe or exotic locations. Now because it got popular in the United States, we now burst forward with talent, and now 2 out of 3 or whatever events have been in the States. So that's very true. Like, once we get on board, we start pushing and put our athletic talent behind it and put our focus behind it, and we make it a really elevated thing, I think we could really maybe draw more and more super high quality, super high level meets to the States, and it will only help us. What's good for weightlifting is if the United States can step up and really compete head to head, if it's like U.S. versus Russia again, comparably performing, it'll be the most awesome thing for the sport.
I agree. And I think a big event like this one next year will. I mean, usually big events are the things that really inspire people to pick up the sport and start to go for it properly. So I think a big event like this will definitely have a legacy for many years to come afterwards as well.
This event will be in November of 2015. So and it's about a week long.
Yeah, it's
so it's not like a 2-day event.
Exactly, it's the 20th to the 29th of
Pack
November.
your trailer, get plenty of beer, come on down, get comfortable in the parking lot, set up shop, get your satellite all ready. We're going to have a good time down there.
And I feel like if you're a CrossFit gym in Houston, that would be a really good time to put on a weightlifting event of your own. That way you could have people come to town for the World Championships. Maybe they'll just compete at your gym and then go watch the World Championships the next day. Something like that. It'd be a good time to build that community within the city itself.
I agree.
So if you're a CrossFit gym owner in Houston, either reach out to us or reach out to the other people in the area and maybe try to put on some local meets, and you might get some world-class lifters that are just there to watch the World Championships that aren't competing in that particular event to come compete in your box, which would be really cool.
We know some box owners in Houston. We should definitely put the pressure on them.
Yeah, and this is a truly fun gathering as well. I mean, you get people from every part of the world. I mean, weightlifting is a sport which is done in any country. It's probably one of the sports that has the sort of biggest penetration worldwide, because being the strongest man in the world or woman in the world, that's a huge thing for any country. So
everybody can identify with strength.
Exactly. So it's you'll if you go there, you'll definitely meet a lot of interesting new people.
Mm-hmm. So if someone did want to go to that competition, is that something that is more than likely going to sell out? Or when do they start selling tickets? Like how does that work?
Yeah, they're gonna start selling.
You don't run it, but you probably know.
But it's gonna start selling. Of course, ahead of the competition, we with our company in the US would love to be a big part as well of just promoting the event and telling people of what they can expect. So we will do what we can to help support the competition.
Do you know where they can buy tickets or
not
where?
yet?
You don't know?
Not at this stage, no.
Okay.
Well,
we're gonna say, keep your ear to the ground. Don't miss the opportunity.
Exactly. Well, how about this? I'll commit to this. We'll send an email out about it. So if you're interested,
what a commitment. We'll send an email out next year sometime.
No, I mean, honestly, like if you sign up for our newsletter, we'll be talking about it. We won't let it pass. When we find out how you can get tickets, we'll send an email about it. So if you go to barbellshrugged.com, sign up for the newsletter, you will be informed. Good. You have to open the emails though. That's a key part of.
And we will be there as well with any events that will run in connection to the event, to the main competition, to just support the boxes and have people try lifting perhaps with some athletes as well. So
that's one of the things we talked about was holding weightlifting meets and then not being used to a good barbell. A lot of times a weightlifting meet will have like the best Eleiko barbell only on the platform and maybe not in the warm-up area. We were talking about a way that would be really cool to do that is to have like your XF bar, like more of your fitness bar, which has really good spin, similar knurling, not as aggressive.
Yeah.
Have that set up in the training room or the warm-up area, and then maybe have your perfect Eleiko bar, competition bar out there for the platform.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was kind of brought to our attention after we talked last that you guys have a bar that's a little less aggressive.
Yeah, people only see the premier bar when they think
for the fitness stuff.
Yeah, no, that's right, and I think we felt that as well, and we also noticed a slight difference in the way you use and what you want from a bar as well. I mean, the competition one is of course to perform single lifts and really lift as heavy as you can, but in CrossFit it's usually more higher number of lifts, and you would like to have a little bit softer knurling, which we've created in this new XF bar. So you'll still have a fantastic bar in terms of just the quality of the bar. The steel is something where we haven't compromised, so we still use our Swedish Eleiko steel.
Yeah, we touched one right underneath the other. I feel the same. Again, the knurling differences, but the quality is there's no perceptible difference.
It's the same steel.
Yeah,
it's the same steel, which is something which is an area where we really don't want to do. We don't want to compromise. This is a steel that has been used for almost 60 years by professional lifters, and it's been smashed over and over again.
It's proven.
It's proven.
That's the other thing is people think about the barbell and they treat it like, I think I said this earlier though, but like treat it like a piece of jewelry, and that they think it's nice and it performs well, but they don't think it's durable.
No, exactly.
But it's quite the opposite.
Exactly. So I mean, we really do get very very often when we visit facilities, we see bars that are 20, 30, 40 years old, and they still hold up and they still spin and they're still straight. And they are used every day. So this is the sort of ultimate proof that this actually lasts a long time.
And part of having a bar that's going to last a long time is proper barbell etiquette.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
Every once in a while, I see people do some things with the barbell that makes me feel a little uncomfortable.
Every once in a while, or every time you go to the gym?
No,
Somebody does something.
I mean, it depends. Some gyms are actually better than others with the barbell etiquette. Sometimes, it varies from facility to facility.
Kenny's facility is a great example of one that enforces. Like, if you treat the bar with disrespect, your ass is doing 50 burpees, right?
So you guys basically maybe not invented the barbell, but you've been key in making the barbell what it is today.
Yeah.
I mean, all the barbells that we see now are basically because of your team. What are your suggested rules, I guess?
I mean, I think you're right. I mean, you should. I mean, you should treat the bar carefully, of course. But and I think the main points you should consider is, of course, you should try and keep the bar dry, and that's why you need to take care of the bar in a way where if you get moisture on it after the session, wipe it off. If there's magnesia left on and chalk left on the bar, you should get that off as well, because that's typically attracts and keeps some of the moisture as well.
That's a pro tip right there.
How do we get the chalk off?
You do it with a brush, either a steel brush, not too sharp, or a sort of a plastic brush, where you take the chalk off, and also get perhaps some. I mean, sometimes you get even blood and some dirt on it. So you want to get rid of those things, I mean, sometimes you can see rust appear on some of the bars, and that's because it's too much moisture. It's not very often that it's actually on the bar. It can be on top of the bar as well, and it looks rusty, and it's actually the magnesia and the salt that sort of interacts.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I've seen what I thought was rust on the bar.
Yeah.
I take my brush, I brush it off,
and it looks.
Now it's not rusty anymore.
Exactly.
I didn't knock the rust off. I knocked the rust that was on the chalk.
Yeah,
off.
that's right.
You knock the color off.
And we also have a sort of antibacterial product which you can use as well to if you run competitions, and I mean you do get some blood on the bar, then
it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. You want to get rid of that as well. So we have a very sort of bar friendly, organic.
Locally sourced bar oil.
Locally sourced if you're in Sweden. But
exactly.
What are some things that make you cringe? If you're in the gym and people do these things with a barbell, maybe slamming them into racks.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, sometimes you see people drop the bar without any weights on, just straight on the floor.
And you hear that bar hit the
clank, 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 clank.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a no-no?
That's a no-no, absolutely. I mean, the bar is meant to be dropped with weights on, and that's why you work hard to get a rubber that absorbs as much of the force as possible. So those are, of course, the things you don't want to see. So you should use the bar as it's meant to be used. But on the other hand, you can say that the bars overall, the bars we make are not supposed to be maintained in a very big way. So the spin of the bars, you should not really get involved with the sleeves. They should, as long as you keep it, you keep it in a dry and clean place. They should not be touched and just.
You should not have to take a tool to remove that sleeve and do anything on the inside.
No.
If you're doing that, you've already screwed up.
Exactly. They are built to last.
Yeah, a lot of people listening to this may never even ever touched an Eleiko bar. They don't know what that spin is all about. They don't know what that feels like. But if you're brand new to weightlifting, or you've only used kind of a regular bar and you haven't used an Eleiko bar or a really high quality weightlifting bar before, then you don't realize how important it is to have a bar that spins very freely. That way, as you pull it up and you go to turn your wrists over or pop your elbows around or catch it overhead, the bar rotates very smooth, and it's a very smooth, easy transition that just feels so much better than having a quote-unquote regular bar. This bar that's made for weightlifting, that spin is very easy to do, where it's not so jerky, where if you have a bar that just doesn't spin very well at all, and you compare it to an Eleiko bar, it just doesn't feel the same at all. So the spin's very important, and you're basically saying that spin will maintain for years or decades, and you don't have to do anything to keep it oiled or to make it where that spin doesn't go away, because on a lot of bars it definitely can. We've
had to rebuild.
It gets
bars.
better in time, as I said.
It gets better over time.
Yeah. We've had to rebuild bars.
Yeah, we have a
Not
guy.
your bars, but
we have a guy who comes to our gym and he's had to like drill into the sleeves and take them apart and take them off and clean them and put the sleeve back on. It's a big pain.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't have to do that with your bars.
No, you don't want that.
Yeah. Shout out to Matt. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Matt Raspberry.
So basically with the XF bar, it sounds like you wanted to have a bar that was high enough quality where you could slap Eleiko on it and feel really good about it, but still it wasn't the same as the premium weightlifting bar. That way most CrossFit gyms could still afford to buy dozens of them, but they were bars that were still good enough to where they wouldn't break. Because at a lot of CrossFit gyms, they basically expect their equipment to break in a year, 2 years, and then they cycle through lots of equipment. We've had dozens, if not 100 or more, bumper plates break on us. We've had dozens of bars break on us. They break all the time because when we started the gym, we didn't buy high-quality equipment. We just bought whatever we could afford because we needed a lot of them. So it's nice that there's someone coming into the market right now with the XF bars where they're cheap enough to afford many of them, but they're still high enough quality where I don't have to replace them every year or two.
Yeah, that's right. And that's really what we wanted to achieve with this new bar. So we've made some modifications compared to the sort of weightlifting competition and training bars, but and most of it is in the sleeve with the bearings. But overall, this is a very high quality bar that you can use that for trying to push your records as well, of course. But you
can use it for all the lifts. You can use it for
absolutely.
squats and deadlifts and pressing.
And we got a double marking on this one as well, so it's both the weightlifting and the powerlifting.
Yes, the
marks.
It's a bearing and bushing.
Exactly. So
needle bearing and bushing.
Needle bearings and bushings. Yeah, exactly. So I would say this is. I mean, this is in our mind the best bar that we can that we offer to the CrossFit community and the functional fitness market. So it's exciting, and we really want to get in, and we really want to push and promote really high quality lifting equipment to this area as well, and this community.
I think bringing your world-class professional mindset to the realm of competitive fitness will really also help elevate, like what happened in weightlifting, elevate the whole scene to just a different level.
Yeah.
Where the etiquette and better procedures and better ethics in gym spread and proliferate, and we can keep rising the tide, lifting all of our boats, so to speak.
Yeah.
The professional attitude, I think, is key.
Excellent. Yeah. I think we need to roll over to the Swedish Fitness Festival.
Exactly, it's the Swedish Fitness Festival. So we it's the biggest gathering for fitness people in
our
Sweden.
hotel room right now. There are a lot of curious-looking European variation of the species of bodybuilders.
Oh yeah. Exactly.
just when, anytime I go to a fitness festival, there's a lot of bodybuilders and stuff. There's a lot of
I love bodybuilders, but they're such a specific but unique and awesome group. Hardworking, but the fashion designs, the fashion, and the fake tans and some of the things are just fascinating to see. I'll leave it at that. I won't say anything mad.
For every niche strength community.
We're such a unique group of people, like all over the place.
For us as Americans that come over, so you have the bodybuilder thing going on, which is different, and then you add like the next layer of European on top of that, and I have a hard time not staring at people. I'm
sure they're staring at you. Like, who's this bearded maniac over here with the flannel?
No, I'm sure they're looking at me.
You look very Swedish in that beard.
Thank you.
In that beard, like you just put on this morning.
Put the beard on for this trip.
Oh, we wanted to get him. We saw some authentic at the Christmas market. Some authentic Viking beard jewelry.
Oh yeah.
We gotta go back and get that for
you.
you.
I'm getting some beard jewelry. I'll be, if you want to see me wearing beard jewelry, just show up to Burning Man 2015. I'll be sporting it there. Eric and I will be hanging out.
We're taking Eric and the Lego team to Burning Man this year.
We're going to skydive down.
We're skydiving
in
Burning
skydiving
Man.
in.
CTP will be filming it. Maybe Charlotte as well. Before we get out of here, I want to give a shout out to the shop we're in. The shop is very, very cool. So if you're ever in Gothenburg, or how do you say it?
Göteborg.
Sweden. Come by and check it out. It's Soul Store. And if you want to check them out online, you can actually shop online. I was talking to the manager a minute ago.
We've got like 15 books here we're going to buy, including the very epic Kiss, Hotter Than Hell, featuring our heroes, the very great Kiss.
Look at that. Check out soulstore.se.
There will eventually be a Barbell Shrugged tour where people come around and see the sites.
It's the Svensk website stuff. As soon as I got here, it's google.se. So what's going on? Take me to .com. I don't know what's going on. Thank you for joining us yet again for this coincidental meeting here in
it was a pleasure.
Göteborg.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
This market is called the Fish Church. It began in 1874 as a design experiment. The building itself was inspired by Gothic church architecture, so that explains the grand name. This is a culture that loves its seafood, after all. Inside the church, you'll find a wide array of fish caught daily from the North Sea. Most of it goes right into the local world-class kitchens. Yes, even the really ugly stuff. It's no wonder CTP got a craving for Burger King.
Where did this swim originate? Because it's a little confusing for me.
I'm not sure if this is them wanting to do something.
They'll be like, silly Americans, let's throw them in the water in Sweden.
And they're going to pretend like it's a tradition, but really they're just like, these Americans.
And everything is going to the beat. And everything is going to the beat.
Water's warm, right? Pretty warm?
Yeah, it's just like a Gulf current.
Lovely.
It's cool as shit.
For me, holidays are all about spending time with my favorite people and sharing in new experiences. It's also a time to reflect on a year's worth of amazing opportunities and lessons learned. I'm leaving Sweden with a new appreciation for the people in my life and for what's possible. Never settle for good enough if better is possible. Be brave and jump head first into new opportunities, even if the water is incredibly cold. Say thanks more often, be kind to others, and most importantly, always surround yourself with amazing, driven people. If you can do that, you will amaze yourself with the result.
Together with the entire Barbell Shrugged team, we wish you a very Merry Christmas and a happy, relentless New Year.
Beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
We got the world. Last Christmas I gave you my heart, but the very next day you gave it away. Come to your river, wash my soul. I will come to your river, wash my soul. I'll get you clean. Keep me warm. Even if I
walking in a winter wonderland.
Join the conversation every week after the episode over at barbellshrugged.com. This is also where you'll find new episodes of Barbell Shrugged, Technique Wad, Nuggets and Pearls, Barbell Business, Get Change, plus new articles every day on our daily blog, written by us, guests of the show, and some of the biggest names in strength and conditioning. So, go there and leave a comment now.
Oh my gosh, wow, that's so cool. Yay, that's so awesome.
Did you like this video? If so, subscribe to our channel and share this with your friends.
And if you want even more free, awesome resources to help you reach your fitness goals, plus some updates that we only share over email, head over to barbellshrugged.com and sign up for the newsletter.